All right, you lot, welcome back. We need to have a conversation, all right? We need to have a conversation. You orc players, I don't count myself amongst you currently. I have started planning something, but I'm not there yet, okay? I don't have an orc army currently, and I've got to say you're letting the side down. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing it out there. I don't mean that in a mean way, but come on now. This is now the second week where they've had the Death Mire campaign, and the Space Marines have got a reveal. Now, last time, it was new Outrider bikes, which, well, they're new, in that they're not the ones that you could get before that had the terrible seam right down the middle of them. They are now a multi-part kit, and that's fine, but they are just Outrider bikes. Again, there's nothing different about them outside of how you assemble them. I think maybe like 2 options or something. It wasn't the most exciting thing I've ever seen, and in fact, I was going to do a video on them last week, and they were so not exciting that I completely forgot about it until now. Now, obviously, Ravenwing, White Scars players, I understand you'll be excited, and that's fine. I'm not saying don't be, but they slipped my mind very quickly because I was like, oh, new bikes. They're saying the other bikes. Okay, cool. This time round, I was really hoping for a bit of orc reveal action. I was really hoping for something special and fun and very different to what we might have got compared to, say, more Space Marines. But that's not what we've got. We've got more Space Marines, and we've got the Siege of Death Mire Week 2 results. And as we can see right now, players around the world battling it out to decide the fate of the crucial Armageddon Hive City. And, yeah, congratulations, Imperial players, on a hard-won victory. And as a reward, we've got an Ultramarine. It is kind of funny. It's an Ultramarine. I don't know why. Whenever there's a character reveal and it's in blue, a little part of me is like, it makes sense because they use the Ultramarines for all the posters and all the stuff, right? Everything's painted Ultramarines when they show it off, unless it's chapter specific when it's not Ultramarines. But I do, a little part of me, with all the jokes about we have a new Marneus Calgar for the reveal this week to basically be Marneus Calgar's friend, that is quite funny. I'm sorry, it just is. It is quite funny. So this is Kaius Konorius. Konorius just sounds like, that sounds a little too close to a disease that you don't want. You don't want to catch Konorius from anyone. You just don't want that. I think it's probably Konorius, right? Konorius? Whatever. And when I said he is Marneus Calgar's friend, I'm not joking. Kaius fought alongside Marneus Calgar and Chaplain Cassius when all three were neophytes, and after Calgar had his little fight with Abaddon the Despoiler, he got his old comrade back to serve as his champion. So, yeah, we have got Marneus Calgar's friend, Kaius Konorius. Now, to be absolutely fair, he does look quite cool. Yes, it is another Ultramarine. Yes, it is another Space Marine character. These are all things that we have plenty of, arguably, but at least this one's got a bit of heft about him. He's got something of a powerful stance for a start. We've got some nice rubble there, boosting up the pose a little bit. Technically, a bit of tactical rock action, but as tactical rocks go, I actually think this one's quite nice. There's a bit of sculpture to it. It looks like part of a pillar, and maybe like the capstone on the top. It's a bit more interesting than just a grey rock. So that's something. The armour looks fantastic. Again, to be absolutely fair, the armour looks great. It just does. The Victrix Honor Guard style helm is really, really nice. Love that. I used to not be a big fan of these helms, right? I used to not be a big fan of the I've got a bird stuck to my face look. But as time has gone on, I've grown to really appreciate them. I do maintain that it's kind of silly, right? I do maintain that it is kind of silly. But at the same time, there is space for silliness in 40k. And in fact, without silliness, 40k might well not quite work as well as it does. I've just grown to quite appreciate how on the nose it is. It's very like front and center. It's not a subtle design. And I think previously I was like, it's a bit much. It's just a bit too much. But, as time's gone on, there's a few things where you look at it and you go from that's too much and therefore bad to that's too much and therefore it's kind of circled all the way back round to being pretty cool again. That helmet It's one of those. It's one of those for me. It's so silly it circles all the way back around to being fun. I do like a good crest. The crest looks fantastic. The massive, like, Ultramarine style Iron Halo on the power pack there, it does look kind of cool. I have to say, it's pretty nice. The fact it's so carved and, like, you got that sort of mix of, like, the laurel wreath with the Ultramarine symbol in there, and I don't know. I think that's nicely done. The pauldrons look good. From what we can see, we've got a big old skull on one side, and there'll be what looks like an Ultramarine symbol on the other side. Very heavy on the branding. Very, very, very heavy on the branding. Like, once again, this is someone who is you know, he wants you to know. He wants you to know. He's part of the Ultramarines. We've got something on the chest there. We've got the Ultramarine symbol there too. We've also got at the end of those, like, those strips of leather down the front. We've also got it on the belt. You can't miss it. You simply cannot miss it. You could perhaps, maybe, you could make the argument that perhaps he's got too many eagles going on. You could say that. I think that would be fair to say. I mean, we do have one on the face, one on the chest, one on the greave, one on each pauldron. There's a good number of them going on here. But, again, for some reason, it's just looping back around to, like, it's so on the nose that I actually don't mind it. It's fine. It's fine. It is a bit too much, but it feels like it's supposed to be too much. The overload is intentional. The combination of axe and sword I really like. I mean, that is a very cool power axe. I've got to give him that. That's pretty solid there. It looks really decent. Also, a little thing, but on one of the forearms there, just painting that gold instead of blue, it's just a nice touch. In fact, is there an extra layer of something there? It looks like maybe there's an extra layer of armour going on compared to on the other arm. In which case, something a little bit customised. Well, to go along with all the other stuff that's very clearly customised on this armour. I don't know, I like it. I think that looks decent. The bear head looks fine. I'd classify that as a bog-standard Space Marine head right there. There's nothing really to write home about, but it's nothing, you know, egregious or bad. It's just another bloke in it. I think the helmet is more interesting. The helmet is more fun, and it sort of suits the absurd kind of overdone nature of the rest of the armour more to have the helmet. He just loses something of his extraness without the helmet, and frankly, if you're going to go all out with armour like that, you may as well, you know, dedicate yourself to it and stick with being a bit extra. Overall though, not bad. Not a bad model. Looks perfectly fine. Perfectly decent Ultramarine. Absolutely nothing wrong with him. It would be nice to see some more Orc stuff. That would be quite nice. We've had 2 Imperial wins so far. If we get 2 Orc wins to at least make it a draw, and then maybe we might get to see something a bit more interesting, a bit more fun, rather than having to wait potentially another 2 weeks, 3 weeks even, I think, to see a new Orc thing. New Orc stuff, for my money, slightly more interesting, but we aren't getting to see any of it. So if we could manage that, that'd be nice. But for now, we've got Konorius. I don't like the last name. I just don't like it. It doesn't roll off the tongue. It doesn't flow. I don't know how I'm supposed to pronounce it. And as such, it's a problem for me personally. But then again, I can't pronounce half the stuff that Games Workshop come out with anyway, so there's nothing really different there to begin with, is there? Anyway, let me know what you think of that lad in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, and I'll see you for the next one.